The walls are closing in on President Trump today. He's taking the fight for his border wall to us, the nation, with a primetime address at 9 p.m. Eastern. This, as funding for the wall is at the center of the partial government shutdown now in the 18th day. I'm still out of breath. Right now, Democrats and Republicans are at an ugly deadlock, and it's gotten so bad that the president could declare a state of emergency to build that wall. So what are Democratic leaders doing? Well, this one's unprecedented, guys. Tori, you got to take this away.
I'm
not out of breath.
You got it. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer say it's only fair they get a chance to counter the president's, quote, malice and misinformation. And some networks are reportedly concerned with airing it live over fears that his remarks may not be truthful. No word on what networks will do, but they could ask for a copy of his speech in advance or request a delay to fact-check him. Again, this has never happened before.
I got to go right to Poe. I mean,
right to me, of course.
Yes, I mean, I know that you know you've been on this very table. You've defended Trump. You voted for Trump. I know you. You're a good guy. Does it bother you as a constituent when he says one thing and you got fact checkers on both networks telling him that he's not truthful? Does that bother you as a human being?
It depends on what we're talking about, because we could be talking about semantics here, whether it's 4,000 or 5. No, seriously, it depends on whether is it 4,000, is it 5,000, is it 3%, is it 4%?
But that's not what it's about.
Look, I'm fine with them fact checking him. But they couldn't fact-check Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez the other night, who got 4 Pinocchios.
But let's talk about him. He's our president. And I agree.
So let's just be fair.
I can completely agree with you. I don't care. I'm not talking about Democrat. I'm not talking about Republican. I can say the same thing to Alexandria as well. But with our very president, and it's not semantics 4,000, 3,000. It's, okay, his administration just the other night, you know, saying 4,000 people, terrorists crossed our border, when in reality, Chris Wallace cross-checked her and fact-checked her and said, no, that was airports to Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Right, again, semantics, but she didn't actually, she was fact-checking the fact they said 4,000 came in illegally. She never said through the southern border. That was a mistake.
I just want to ask you guys a question.
Yeah.
I just don't think Trump supporters want to be taken for suckers. And I feel like he's taking y'all for being suckers.
I don't think so at all.
Let me just ask you a question here. When he says Mexico will pay for it, and now he's holding the country hostage, even though he said Mexico over and over and over again. And he also just last night said, I spoke to the former presidents, and they said the wall is a good idea. The Washington Post fact-checked. There's only 4 living U.S. presidents. Not one of them said they actually spoke to the president. He just lied again. Washington Post says he's lied 7,000. They just checked with all 4 presidents.
Sorry, let's be very specific.
I have it on my phone. I can get real specific.
He said some have told him this.
Not one of them did.
They didn't get to Bush, so they don't know if he said it or not. So just remember that. But let's take a step further.
I feel like we're dancing around it.
Yes, we are.
I just want to hear you say I hate it when he lies, because I know you must feel that way.
But I need to see a specific example of where you're talking about that.
He just lied last night.
You want me to print out?
You don't know that.
Like
you don't have the information for that. But look, guys, let's really get away from semantics. Can we talk about what's really going on at the border? I'd rather talk about that. I'd like to talk about the fact it is a humanitarian crisis, that there is human trafficking, that there is drugs, that the cartels control this border.
First of all, you know the majority of the drugs come through ports of entries and vehicles,
and they come across illegally too.
But wait a second.
How many unaccompanied minors have come across, Sam? Do you know that statistic? Because it's not a good one. Families using children to be.
You're blowing this so
Hold on. Wait a second. We do need border security. Bo's absolutely right. But let's be factual when we say it. Let's be factual. When it comes to drugs, the majority of the drugs are coming through vehicles, through ports of entry. You can fact check that. Luckily, I did my research before we came on the show. So it's not individuals who are crossing the border. It's not these people that are asylum seekers or people that...
So, Sam, why would you not want to keep the bad people out?
Then why not do it to Canada? Because they're more terrorist.
Wait, I want to, and so does the majority of so does most of the Democrats.
That's a lie.
See, that's a lie. Okay, we got to be really careful of this narrative, because Democrats and Republicans, finally, they want the same thing. They want border security. They don't want open borders. They want to keep the bad people out. They just have a different method of doing it.
Sam, what's the point of a wall?
Are you serious?
What's the point of a wall?
It's a medieval response.
No, it's not. You've heard that on. I know you've heard that. But what is the point of a wall?
You have.
What is the point of a wall?
I've heard a lot of what you said on Fox News.
What is the point of a wall?
I don't know. It seems like a medieval.
To prevent crossings.
Then why not do it to Canada, which has more terrorists coming through than Mexico? You have no problem there.
We need to incentivize legal immigration and disincentivize illegal immigration. When you have cartels running children across the border, when you run them through a school district, that is a humanitarian crisis. Women get. Oh, you don't think women get raped? You don't think women get raped by cartels?
I don't think there is. They said 4 people have been picked up on Mexico. You are blowing.
You have to incentivize legal immigration and disincentivize illegal immigration. Keep the good people in and the bad people out. That's what walls do. It's worked in Israel and it worked in the Vatican.
There are certain parts of, you'll talk to immigration experts who will say that there's certain parts of our continent that will benefit from a wall.
Correct.
But you can't just put up a wall all the way around.
No one's advocating that.
No
one's saying that.
The Obama administration had a wall built in certain parts. So did other administrations.
2006, Hillary voted for it and so did Obama.
Right, but it wasn't. It's different. It's a layered, complex approach.
Fence.
But it's also the fact. Here's what bothers me the most. We have our president acting like this is like a huge national crisis.
There's no need.
It is a crisis.
Humanitarian crisis.
It is a crisis, but he is making it look like we need to build this wall to prevent all these criminals from coming in.
That's not true.
When statistics show that our criminals are right here in our own land. So
and they're coming from airports
too. Do criminals come in? 100%.
A lot.
100%, but the majority of them come in through airports.
Sam, if 11 to 12 million people have come here illegally, doesn't that concern you?
Of course it does. See, you're painting the wrong dialogue here.
That's a lot of people.
Everyone is concerned. We don't like that our president is holding the entire country hostage so that he can get his way to build the wall when he, from the very beginning, said Mexico would pay for it. It's just we need a compromise, including this panel.